Imagine a Ghostbusters movie where the team leaves New York and actually goes to hell. I'm not kidding. Dan Aykroyd wrote a sequel where Venkman, Ray, Egon, and Winston battle Lucifer himself in a demonic Manhattan. This is the story of Ghostbusters Hellbent, the wild, unmade sequel you never saw. Welcome back, I'm Gabby Ortiz, and today we are diving into one of the strangest and most ambitious sequels ever pitched, Ghostbusters Go to Hell, also known as Ghostbusters Hellbent. In this video, we'll cover the insane plot that takes the Ghostbusters to a twisted dimension known as Manhattan. We'll even show you what it would look like if made, as we do for all our breakdowns. Then we'll dive into the returning cast and the rumored younger recruits meant to carry the franchise. Finally, we'll break down how the film spent decades in development hell, pun intended, along with 5 of the weirdest facts about Hellbent, like Trump-like villains, to how the script lived on in a video game. Stick around because this is a Ghostbusters sequel like you never imagined. What exactly was Ghostbusters Hellbent? Dan Aykroyd, the paranormal-obsessed heart of Ghostbusters, wrote the script for Hellbent in the late 1990s. His idea? Instead of fighting another giant marshmallow or slime river, the Ghostbusters would face their biggest challenge yet: Lucifer. The story begins in New York, where the Ghostbusters are older and struggling to keep their business alive. When dimensional rifts start opening, the team is sucked into an alternate Manhattan called Manhattan. As you probably guessed, imagine New York flipped into a hell dimension. Burning skies, twisted skyscrapers, and demonic bureaucrats processing souls like office paperwork. The villain is Lucifer himself, portrayed not as a traditional horned devil, but as a smug real estate mogul running hell like Wall Street. Aykroyd even described him as a parody of Donald Trump way back in the late 90s. The Ghostbusters' mission is to stop Lucifer from merging Manhattan with real Manhattan. It all leads to a final showdown in his infernal skyscraper where the Ghostbusters risk everything to close the rift. What was the cast of the Unmade Ghostbusters movie? The plan was to bring back the original team we know and love, along with some new talent. Bill Murray. He was a little hesitant and only wanted to appear briefly, maybe even as a ghost. Dan Aykroyd remained the true believer, the soul of the team. Harold Ramis, the scientist who figures out how to survive hell's physics. Ernie Hudson, the practical anchor who keeps the others grounded. But Aykroyd also wanted to introduce new recruits, younger Ghostbusters who could inherit the franchise. Rumors included comedy stars like Ben Stiller and Chris Rock, and even Chris Farley before his death. Later, names like Will Smith floated around. This was meant to be the passing of the torch film, with the older team guiding a new generation through hell itself. How crazy would a Ghostbusters lineup of Will Smith, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, and Chris Farley have been? So why didn't Ghostbusters Hellbent get made? A few reasons. First, Bill Murray. He didn't like the script, didn't like the tone, and allegedly, he said he would only return if Venkman died early. Without Murray, the studio wasn't convinced the film would be a hit. Second, the setting. Sony worried that an entire movie set in hell would be too dark, too expensive, and too risky for a mainstream comedy franchise. Third, budget. A fully realized Hell Manhattan would have required massive special effects. Early estimates ballooned past what Sony was comfortable spending. And finally, timing. By the 2000s, the focus shifted to Ghostbusters the video game, which used pieces of the Hellbent script and reunited the cast for voice acting. For many fans, the game became Ghostbusters 3 in spirit. When Harold Ramis passed in 2014, the dream of Hellbent officially died. Instead, Sony pivoted to reboots and legacy sequels like Afterlife. As promised, here's 3 crazy facts about the movie. Lucifer as Donald Trump. As mentioned earlier, Aykroyd literally wrote Lucifer as a Trump-style real estate tycoon decades before Trump became president. After Trump's appearances in other films, maybe he would have even been cast. Ghostbusters video game connection. The 2009 video game pulled heavily from the Hellbent script. If you've played it, you've basically seen Ghostbusters 3. Bill Murray's ghost cameo. Murray suggested he only wanted to return as a ghost himself, no living Venkman, just ghost Venkman cracking jokes. He basically wanted to be killed off in a way that was fun. So there you have it, the Ghostbusters sequel, where our favorite paranormal exterminators literally went to hell. Do you think Hellbent would have been the perfect Ghostbusters 3? Or was it too weird, too dark, too ambitious for its time? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this dive into cinematic what-ifs, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the movies that almost were made.